What's up, guys? My name is Eros, and this is my first ever Redstone tutorial. A lot of you guys have asked for it, and I am here to deliver. So today, I am going to be showing you guys how to construct my any potion brewer system. Now, I recently came up with this idea, or I guess rather this system, on a recent episode of Bedrock, and I had a lot of you guys asking me, hey, you should do a tutorial for that, or I guess, would you please do a tutorial for that? That's more of a question. But a lot of you have asked, and so here I am. Now, I have not seen a design like this before. I'm sure it's out there, but I've not seen one. So everything that I have here, I have come up with completely on my own. Now, the reason that I say that is because I actually want to make a point to get a lot more familiar with Redstone and learn how to do things like this entirely on my own. So this may not be the most efficient, it may not be the most compact, but it's going to be original, and it's going to be something I came up with, and I am excited to share it with you guys. So let's go ahead and get right into it. Now, there are two different major parts that go into this. There's going to be the item selection section, which is down below, and then there's going to be the actual automatic potion brewing section up above, which has timers and sorters and yada yada yada. No, sorters are below. It has timers and things like that, and so on and so forth. So we're going to take it two parts at a time. First, down below, the item selection. So in order to build this machine, here are going to be all of the ingredients and items needed for it. We've got comparators, we've got repeaters, we have redstone, redstone torches, droppers, hoppers, buttons. We also have glass soul sand, some basic blocks for building, especially ones that are easy for you to see exactly how many blocks there are, as well as some packed ice and water sources. So those are all of the items that have gone into this build right here. Now, to start the actual item selection area, what we're going to do is we're actually going to put in the packed ice for the water streams. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then we're going to add in a ninth one, which is going to be leading up to our actual bubble column, which is what we need the soul sand here for. And we're also going to have a button on each side. We're going to do that twice. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We've got the button here at the end. And this is going to be the actual transportation for the items. So the hoppers are going to drop the items, or not the hoppers, the droppers are going to drop the items. That makes a lot more sense. Into the water streams here. And I'm actually going to use glass, so that way you can get a better view of what exactly is going on here. So let's go ahead and enclose this in, so that way the water doesn't go anywhere. Because as I'm sure you are aware, water and redstone does not mix at all. And now the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to put some solid blocks all along the front and bottom here. Now the reason that we need solid blocks here is because these are actually what we are going to power in order to power the droppers, which are going to face into the water streams like so. So we need to go ahead and get the droppers in here as well, all sorted. There we go, looking great. And then of course, the water sources as well. Now, I like getting these in early, so that way we can build up above it and not have to worry anymore. So basically, we can just close this in, except for where the bubble elevator is going to go, and that means that we don't have to worry about it now. So that is all safe and sound. Now, here is the thing about the potions and the various items that go into it. There are actually 17 items that can be used in brewing potions. However, only 16 of those items are stackable. So those 16 items are going to go on each side here. That's everything from nether wart to redstone to glowstone and so on and so forth. The last item that can be used to brew potions is a turtle shell, which is a non-stackable item. So if you don't want to have that item in here, or you don't plan on using it, that's perfectly fine. If you do want it though, I actually recommend putting the dropper for it right here in the middle, specifically so that way you can have a separate place to put in the non-stackable items, because the rest of this depends on item sorters, which don't work with non-stacking items. They rely on stacking items in order to work properly. So here is the basis of the actual item selection area. And then basically all we need is a button assigned to each of these, and that is what is going to trigger the dropper and drop the item into it. So that part is pretty simple. Now we're going to move on to the actual item sorter section, which is, I guess, kind of a part 1B side of the lower section. Alright, so now for the actual item sorter section. Now what this is going to rely on is a lot of hoppers. So I recommend having a reliable source of iron in order to do this. I like going a little bit extra with the hoppers just to give myself a little bit more room to work with, but technically speaking, you could get away with just having the hoppers too high here like this. I like having an extra layer up on top, and what we need that top layer to do, whether it's 2 high or 3 high, is we actually need to make sure that it goes anywhere but into the hoppers below it. So let's go ahead and put a row of solid blocks here. And we are then going to face this top row of hoppers into those blocks. Now the reason for this is if the hopper is facing directly into the hopper below it, items in it will automatically get pushed down into the next hopper. By having them face like this, it's actually what we are going to be using to make the item sorter, because it means that it won't push the items. It means it's going to be dependent on this item or this hopper to pull the items downward, which means if we lock this hopper, the items in here will not go anywhere. And that is what we need for the item sorters to actually work. So now what we're going to do is we need to go ahead and put blocks at this level of the hoppers, because these are the blocks that we are going to be putting our comparators onto, and they're also the blocks that are going to be locking these hoppers down here at this level. Now you've probably noticed I don't have hoppers going into this dropper right here, and that's because, as I said before, this is an ideal place to have your turtle shells, because they don't use the item sorters. Again, they're completely optional, but if you want to have them, I recommend having it here. And then you can just put a hopper facing into it with a chest for adding in more of them. So in order to make the actual item sorter section, what we're going to do is we're going to need this to come out by a few blocks, and we're going to create this kind of funky looking shape here, like so. And what this is going to do is this is going to hold our comparator, which is going to be checking for items in this hopper. If there are items in it, it is going to send a signal down and out by a few blocks. And once it reaches this area here, it's actually going to power a repeater, which is going to unpower this redstone torch, releasing the hopper. So what we can do now is we can throw some items in there, and you'll notice they don't go anywhere. But if we get a lot more of those items, and we throw those in, you'll actually see that it powers it enough to unlock it and move the items down. So that is the foundation of how this entire restocking section works. Now, obviously, you don't have to put an automatic sorting system into your potion brewer. You could do it manually, and you could just, have a chest and a single hopper going into each and every one of these. Or you could even just leave it open face like this and manually put items in. Those are options as well, but this is how I did it, and I wanted to just show you kind of my thought process on it. So now I'm just going to go ahead and copy this all the way down for each of the items that will be sorted. There. Now once you have all of those item sorters in place, then you need to actually assign what the items are. And what you also need to do is you need to make sure that you have a special item filling up 4 of the 5 slots, the last 4 specifically. So that way no other items can go in here besides the actual potion items. So it needs to be something that's not going to end up in your system accidentally. And then what you can do is you have a lot of options for the actual stocking system. You could use a chain of hoppers like so, and a chest. That would make sure that no items went in too fast to overflow the system. You could also use a chest minecart like I did on Bedrock, and that will also make sure not to overflow the system. If you use something like water streams, though, and you throw a lot of items in at once, it can overflow the system slightly. So ideally, you want to use a slightly slower system. Trust me, you're not even going to notice if you use a slightly slower system with this. It really is okay. And then the other thing that you can do is, since it is a little bit cramped down here as far as reaching the buttons and everything, what I did on Bedrock is I actually just took a couple of repeaters. They're not too super expensive, and I just kind of extended the button out to here. So that way I had a nice flush wall, and then by pressing the button, it still powered the dropper, and everything still worked fine. So those are your options for that. So now that we've got that portion done, now it's time to build the upper layer, which is where the actual fun is. So now what we need to do is we need to actually get the brewing stand in place. Now the important thing that we need to remember is there are 3 parts that go into this. There's the actual input for the items themselves, there's an input on the side for the water bottles, and then there's the output hopper. So let's go ahead and grab a chest really quick. We'll just borrow one from over here. And this is going to be our output chest. So let's go ahead and put that right there, like so. And then we've got our hopper going into that chest here. We've also got the brewing stand itself, of course. We have the input on the side for the water bottles, and we have the one on the top for the items. And that's actually going to be a double hopper like so. Now the reason it's going to be a double hopper is because we're actually going to do something pretty similar to an item sorter, in that we're going to take a signal from this lower one, and that's going to affect the upper one. In a slightly different way though, because as I'm sure you've noticed, these are actually facing into each other, which as I said earlier, means that this one can push items into this one, even if it's locked. So now that we've got this part done, we're going to focus on the different parts individually. Now this one on the side is actually very, very easy. This is where the water bottles go. So you could have something as simple as this for the water bottles, or you could actually have a string of hoppers coming out of it on the side like so, and just kind of going off to wherever, as long as it stays in this kind of general area. And as you'll see in a little bit, exactly what kind of space you have available for that. So there's where the water bottles are going to go. So that part's done. Now what we need to do is we're going to actually work on the 2 different parts here that lock and unlock it accordingly. So that basically that means that if items are coming out, nothing more is going in, and vice versa. So that way we don't end up wasting supplies or water bottles at all. So the first thing we're going to do is I realized I actually built this a little bit too close to the water column. So this needs to come out just a single block further. I can't believe I did that. I even was trying to be all extra prepared and whatnot. So let's go ahead and just copy everything forward here really quick. There we go. Okay, so the first thing that we are going to do is we are going to basically put in a little bit of a detection system here. What this is going to do is this is going to detect when we have items going into the potion brewer, and that's going to start the automatic timer that's going to tell the system when it is done. So we've got a detector going into a repeater here, and what that's going to do is that is going to power the actual pulse extender for the system here, which is going to rely on a bunch of redstone comparators, like so. So we're going to have a block here, we're going to have the redstone like so, and then we're going to have a bunch of comparators here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8. And then we're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, like so. So there is that, and this is just a hefty sized pulse extender. So basically this is going to take about as long to unpower as the brewing stand is going to take to finish its brewing. So that is why this is how long it is. And that's actually going to accomplish 2 different things here. One, that is going to basically tell it when it's ready to remove items. That's also going to trigger the rest of the system to tell it when to reload items. So those are 2 very important parts. So now that we've got that part in place, the next thing that we need to do is we need to basically put the lock into place. So that basically means that once this is brewing, it's going to lock it so that items don't come out of it until it is done. So we're going to put a block right here, and that is going to have a repeater coming out of it like so, and that repeater is going to be going into a block right here, which is going to have a redstone torch on the top. If I could grab it, there we go. It's going to have a redstone torch on the top, and it's going to have some redstone underneath. Now what that's going to do is that's going to do two things. It's going to lock this hopper to make sure that no items come out of it while it's brewing, and it's going to unlock this hopper, which is going to allow the potion ingredients to start going in. And basically the reason that it's going to have a delay on letting the potion ingredients go in is so that way you have time to actually select the potion ingredients. Because if you don't have enough time to select the potion ingredients, then it's just going to basically turn off the timer and it's going to be done before it's even finished brewing. So that's why. So now we've got that part into place. The next thing we need to do is basically going to lock and unlock the water bottles. So that way we don't have water bottles going into the system at the same time that the system is pulling the potions out. Otherwise, we're just going to be pulling out the water bottles as soon as they get put in, and obviously that's not going to work. So what we're going to do is we've actually got a space underneath where this block is powered. We're going to put a piece of redstone there. We're also going to put a repeater. I just need to make a little bit of room here for just a second. Right there. Facing that direction. And then that is going to end up going into a block right here, which is going to have a redstone torch on it. And that redstone torch is going to get its signal carried over by another repeater here. Now this probably seems like a whole lot of extra steps, but it actually is what it takes for the timing to be just right based on the way that I built this system. Like I said earlier, I'm sure there's a simpler way of doing this, but this is what I got to work, and it's very reliable, so that's how I'm doing it. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that signal output here with another repeater, and that's going to go into a block, which is going to have redstone up on top of it, like so. And that is going to lock this hopper here, preventing water bottles from going in once the little mini release here takes effect. You actually want this little section here leading into this kind of locking redstone here to be one layer lower. The reason being is because if this is powered and it's right on this block, it's actually going to lock this hopper. So that was my bad. I don't know how I missed that. But yeah, you just want this one block lower, like so. Hopefully you can still see nice and clearly how that works. And that is going to then power this redstone. Well, yeah, it's going to power this redstone, which is going to unpower this torch, releasing the potions and everything. So that is what you need to do. So now all we need to do is give it a test. I'm going to go ahead and brew up some potions of fire resistance. We've got netherwort, we've got magma cream, and we've got redstone. And if we fly up top, we can see the items going in, slowly but surely, nice and evenly timed and whatnot. And we can see that the little automatic timer here has released, which has put items into the system and everything as well. So that is brewing up. Now we just have to wait for those items to finish brewing. So once we hear that magic sound of the final item, you'll actually notice that this is going to start ticking down. You'll see that this unpowers once the final item goes in, and that's going to release this timer and release everything else as well. So let's go ahead and give it a listen there. Should hear it any second. There we go. So that has released. This is slowly ticking down, waiting for that final item to finish brewing there. It's ticking down. There we go. Perfect. So then that powers all of this, releasing the potions. And look at that. We've got 3 potions all done, ready to go. So just like that, we have ourselves an any potion brewer ready to go. So I'll take a nice slow fly around here so that way you can see all of the system and everything and how it all goes together. Feel free to pause the video at any moment if you need a closer look. I'll go ahead and get in a little bit closer for some of this as well, so that way you can see both sides of it and how it all works together and everything. And if you have any questions about it, please, by all means, feel free to leave a comment down below. But there it is. That is our any potion brewer ready and completed and ready to brew us any and every potion we could ever want. So thank you all so much for coming along with me today. I hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, make sure you leave a like on the video. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on any of the adventures that we have in the future or any of the tutorials that I plan on making in the future as well. And if you liked this and you thought that it was pretty cool, make sure you share the video with somebody else so that they can enjoy it too, and maybe they'll learn something a little bit about redstone as well. So thank you all so much, everyone, and until next time, guys, peace and love, everybody. Bye-bye.